Hi students, this is Mrs. Wilson. I'm here to teach you about our next unit in art. We just got finished up learning about lines and all the different kinds of lines and the way that we can use markers in different ways to create our lines and such. This time we're moving into shape. So I am going to open up my presentation so you know what we're going to be learning this week. We're going to break it up into 2 lessons, and this is the first of the 2 lessons. Let me go ahead and share my screen here. All right, so here is the lesson Shapes, lesson 1. And you're ultimately going to be doing a scavenger hunt with your iPad. But before we do that, let's review some of the basic shapes. We call shapes that have names geometric shapes. Now, we'll be talking about free-form shapes in the next lesson, but geometric shapes are the ones that you're familiar with and that you've probably already heard of. So we have our square and our rectangle, circle, triangle, heart, oval, diamond, but we also have another name for this. We call it a rhombus, and a star. Now there's other shapes too. There are shapes that are made out of 6 shapes, for example. So you might have, let's see, it's not coming up on here. I can't see it right now, but we have hexagons that are 6-sided figures and octagons, which are 8-sided figures. We also have what's called trapezoids and parallelograms. So we'll talk more about that when I see you next. But before we do that, let's look at these basic shapes. And I want you to look at this oval and the circle. So we want to know, what is the similarities to these 2 things, or how are they alike? And we also want to know how they are different. Well, since you're not here for me to ask you, I will tell you the difference. Now, if we look at this, the oval has a curve and no straight lines. It's got curves on both sides, and no straight lines and no corners. This one also has no corners, no straight lines, and has curves at the top and the bottom. How they're different is this one is elongated. It's almost like they took the circle and they pinched it on this side and pinched it on this side and spread it apart to create that oval look. So how are squares and rectangles alike? And then also, how are they different? So they both have 4 sides. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. They both have 4 corners, 1, 2, 3, 4. And they both have straight lines, no curves. The differences are, this square has all 4 sides that are equal in length. On the rectangle, this side and this side are equal, and then this side and this side are equal, and that is the difference. So not all 4 are equal. These 2 are equal, and these 2 are equal. So again, it's kind of like taking your fingers and pinching this side and pinching this side and spreading it out, and there you end up with a rectangle. So then we have triangles and diamonds. How are they alike and how are they different? Well, how they're alike is they both have points. They both have the straight lines. But the difference is the triangle actually has 3 sides with one coming to a point. And the diamond or the rhombus has 4 sides. And each of those sides come to a point. So a rhombus or diamond is like putting 2 triangles together to create that shape. So shapes are used in quilt making, and a quilt is simply a blanket that is made out of scraps of material. And in class, we will be making quilt squares that we will assemble together and make a class quilt. But for now, I want you to notice that these quilts have different shapes in them. At first glance, these round things look like circles, but on closer inspection, there's actually flat sides to each one of these shapes, which technically makes it an octagon because it's got 8 sides. Like an octopus has 8 legs. 8 sides for an octagon, 8 legs for an octopus. And it's also got squares and some triangles within this quilt. Here's another quilt. And we've got all kinds of shapes in here. It doesn't look like there's that many, but when you put some of the triangles together, they make a giant shape, which would be a rhombus. Or you could cut that in half and you would have 2 triangles put together. Or you would have a bunch of little triangles put together to create the larger shapes. And in between here, the green part, those are triangles, of course. And then these here are long, skinny rectangles. And again, this is made out of different pieces of material. Each one of these different colors is a different kind of material that has all been sewn together to create this cozy little blanket. Quilts were often used, they're still used today, but they were often used in the past to make bedspreads and such for warmth. And here's another one that uses a variety of different shapes. Looks like we've got a rhombus here with a square on top. And when you put that square on top, it actually breaks these up into triangles. And then we've got the triangles here. And this is all different variations of rhombuses and triangles to create this quilt. This one is really fancy. It's using lots of different types of material. And they've added a couple other shapes in here. Particularly, I can see that they are using trapezoids. So I like trapezoids, and an easy way to remember the name of a trapezoid is if you were to look at, here, let's look at this one right here that has the sides slanting up like this and like this here. That actually is like a triangle with the top cut off. But I also always think of it, for me, the way that I remembered it is if I thought of this, I don't know, I guess kind of volcano type shape, and you had like a little critter that jumps on the top of the trapezoid. It could fall in, the sides would fall on it, and it would get trapped in the trapezoid. So that's a fun way to remember that name. All right, your assignment, now that you know some basic shapes, is to use your iPads to take pictures of shapes around your house and your yard. And we will share them when we come back to class. So I did a scavenger hunt around my classroom and around the school and found some examples of some different shapes. And I wanted to share those with you so you get an idea of the different kind of things that you can find around your house. So this one was out on the pirate playground there. This was a round fastener or bolt. And see here, it's got a star. That's a type of screw bit that they can put to screw those in. And in the middle of that, you can see that there's a circle. So there's lots of different shapes all within this picture here. And you can see there's a round washer behind the round fascinator, which has the star shape there. This is the top of a picnic table. So this is a 6-sided figure, and we call that 6-sided figure a hexagon. And in the middle, you can see that there is a circle. And also, this is where you see shapes within shapes. Look at this board here. There's a slant right there and a slant right there, and it's longer on the bottom and shorter on the top. So this is actually a trapezoid, as well as this one being a trapezoid, as well as that one being a trapezoid. So all of these boards that make this larger hexagon are actually trapezoids. And then this is part of the pirate playground as well, where we've got what we call concentric circles, which is a circle within a circle within a circle. All right, let's look at the next one. This one, I actually took the shapes tool and drew the shapes because they were a little harder to interpret there. But here I went to the spider web, and I noticed that, let me move this shape out of the way. I noticed that the rope was making the shape of a hexagon. So I drew a hexagon shape and placed it on top so you could see that. I also noticed that below the hexagon was a trapezoid. So again, I can move this shape out of the way and you can see the trapezoid there. Right. And then this was part of the steps getting up to the pirate playground. And if you were to zoom in there, you would see that the shapes that are on this are ovals. So I put an oval there. This is actually on the staircase walking up back to the cafeteria from the pirate playground. And we call this diamond plate, and it's used a lot to protect different surfaces. And it's just made out of steel, and this is the print that it makes. But in reality, what it really is two geometric shapes put together. So it's a rhombus right here, or a diamond. That's why it's called diamond plate. But then look at the center, it's a circle. So it's a diamond or a rhombus with a circle on top of it to make this diamond plate shape. All right, here is another picture. So this is underneath the school where the hose is to hose off after we've been to the beach. And I noticed a couple things here. I noticed first the patterning of how they put the bolts to hold the circular hose reel into, and look, it creates a rhombus. And then I zoomed in on these different bolts that were used, and look what shape it is. It's a hexagon. And then we also have some circles around here. So again, I've got shapes within shapes. All right, and here are a couple more. So this is a rectangle with a bracket, actually. This is on the concrete underneath the building. And then it's got a circular washer that you put on before you put your hexagonal bolt onto the screw head here, or the, fastener. And this was the bench, and that was two long rectangles put together to create the bench. Here's the fencing, and we've got some rhombuses. And I found a shovel sifter, which was a square that kind of had some soft curves here. And then inside, these are all little squares, is what the sand sifts through. And this was a little marker that was on one of the poles at the playground, and that is an oval with circles on it. All right, so now it's your turn. What are you gonna create? Let me get out of screen share. I did find, let me pin this video really quickly. Pin video. I have my other camera on, and I wanted to show you, these are just some things that I found around the classroom. Of course, we have these pattern blocks that you are allowed to use during free time to create some different patterns. Let me get where there it is. Some different patterns together. So we have our hexagon, our trapezoid. We have, this is also a parallelogram, as well as a rhombus or a diamond. Parallelogram just means you have two parallel lines. In these case, we have diagonals. So these two are the same, and these two are the same. So in addition to that, we also have the square, which is also considered a parallelogram because these two lines are parallel to each other, meaning they'll never ever cross. And these two lines here are parallel lines. Here's another rhombus here. And then here's another rhombus, just like the diamond plate rhombus. All right, I found a ruler. So that is a triangle. My pad of paper here, that's a square. These are Post-it notes. And here's another pad of paper. This is going to be rectangle. I got some googly eyes. Those are circles within a circle. This was the top of something for our copy machine. I thought, oh, that's a good example of circles as well on both sides. So have some fun with this. I got tons of stuff. I could go around and around and around. The top of my drink tablets here that I use, those are circles as well. So lots of, oh, here, my key fob, that's oval. So you go and have fun, find all these different pictures that you have, and when we come back to class, we will make a class pin board with all of this, and I'll show you how to do that when we come back. So this is lesson 1. There's another lesson coming this week that has to do with shape. So be ready for that one. Go have fun on your scavenger hunt. Wait to see what you find at home. Bye now.